Well, it was Indiana, this beautiful 17-year-old above my shoulder. Well, that's where she lived before she's dead, before she died. There's a woman, a young girl, that decided to be friends with a 59-year-old adult, and her parents allowed it, and nobody saw a problem with it. What ended up resulting from it is she was dead, killed, thrown under a pile of rubbish. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Today we're going to be talking about this story out of Indiana. Let's go ahead and get on into it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Bring it back.
Let me just say this to get things started. The parents should be charged here. I don't give a fuck if you're one of them parents that let your daughters and children run around wild. And see, you can call me abusive, but the reality of this is I'm a disciplinarian. You motherfuckers are the ones that believe kids are going to be kids. You're going to let them run around. You're going to let your daughters and children date while they're living in your house. Even though fucking is an adult thing, having sex, being involved with people, it's an adult situation. Your job as an adult is to protect your children. A lot of you don't, and that's how they end up killed. Guys, I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Before we get started with this story, I want to say first and foremost, thank you to everybody that supports the channel, any of my channels, regardless of the platform, regardless of the method you choose, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do without you, the Gun Squad. Appreciate you guys so much, and if you too find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Join the Gun Squad today. While you're down there, do yourself a favor. If you're not a bitch, snowflake, libtard, whatever, feel free to check out the political channel, the live stream channel, all of my other channels. I have 14 of them. That way you can see some other content, and I would be honored to have you guys there. Well, not some of you. Some of you are bitches. But let's go ahead and get on into this. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's talk about this beautiful 17-year-old child that was soon to be a woman that is no more. Let's go ahead and get on into it. Let's go. We're going to continue on, and we're going to now move on to a more crime-related story, because, you know, what's up, Napdos? How you doing, brother? We're going to move on to a more crime-related story. Neighbor Patrick Scott is arrested for murder of missing Indiana. Fat ass didn't have a shot either, not even close. Neighbor Patrick Scott is arrested for murder of missing Indiana teen Valerie Tindall, age 17, after cops find her body stashed in a barrel under rubble on his property, just 100 feet from her family home. Stories like this trip me out, man. Trump still fight a good fight. Yeah. Stories like this trip me the fuck out. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how people become this evil. Like, how can you just be sitting there in your house or on your porch and see someone like, I'm going to rape or kill that person? And you don't know the motherfucker. It's just somebody's kid. Or at least they stopped it in 2020 and they're going to stop it again in 2024. Trust me. Why would you steal it once and not steal it twice? You see what I'm saying? If they went to all that trouble to steal 2020, they're going to steal 2024. Valerie Tindall's body found in a barrel on Patrick Scott's property yesterday. Indiana teen had been missing since June 7th when she was last seen with him. He lives next to her home and employed her for his lawn care business. The 59-year-old neighbor of a missing Indiana teenager has been arrested for her murder after police found the body stuffed under rubble on the man's yard, just 100. Why would you do that? Like, I want you to think about this. So this man kills the broad, throws her underneath some rubble in his own goddamn yard and just leaves her there? Fuck it. Straight demons walking around now blatantly. Yes. Like, but it's also some stupidity added. Valerie Tindall, age 17, vanished on June 7th from Arlington, Indiana. She was last seen with neighbor Patrick Scott, 59, who she worked for. Yesterday, police found her remains in a barrel on Scott's property. He is now in jail on a murder charge. Like, he looks dumb as fuck anyway. But none of it makes sense to me. What would you suggest? That he may have came on to her and she turned him down? 70 says, don't get mad when I drive your ass when they play one of them AIDS commercials in one of them midstream ads. I hear you there. Is that what they're doing? Is that what they're doing? Lazy, 100% lazy. Like, how are you going to do something so... That actually bothers me in itself. Like, her home is right here. Like, you know the girl lives right 2 doors down. And you just murder her and throw her body out under some rubble? Like, fuck it. Just the idiocy in itself bothers me. Rejected by the cat? Yeah. Which it shows you that this dude is literally one of the biggest monsters in the world. Because not only was he willing to engage in child molestation and fuck a 17-year-old, probably, then he got mad because she didn't want to let him engage in child molestation. And this is just a theory. And so he, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, no, you're not going to let me be a child molester. I'll just murder you. Yeah. He tried to fuck her and he took it. That's probably exactly what the fuck happened. Details of the case, including Scott's motive and why they were together the day she vanished, remain unclear. Valerie worked for his landscaping company and was also friends with his granddaughter. Let that sink in. You're an old-ass man, grandkids. This is your granddaughter's friend. How the hell you could come in my yard, look us in the eyes, and act like friends, Valerie's grief-stricken mother said on Thursday. Valerie was last seen leaving home on the afternoon of June 7th, sparking a desperate police search. Her family said Scott tried to console them as they waited for the news, telling them that he or she had likely run away. When interviewed by police, Scott lied by claiming he'd seen Valerie get into a pale blue car. What the fuck is a pale blue car? He said the vehicle had been driven by a man whose face he could not make out. Valerie's mother said the family moved away from violence to a neighborhood where they thought she would be safe. It's unclear where they had been living before. Valerie Tindall's mother, by the way, says accused killer Patrick Scott, 59, acted like a jealous boyfriend before the grisly murder. Valerie Tindall's mother, Sheena Sandifer, has spoken out after her daughter's body was found on Tuesday on the neighbor's property. She said that the two were close and that Scott acted like a jealous boyfriend. That's crazy, right? So more than likely, our theory here is probably 100% true. 100%. He said, what an idiot. Those barrels cost $100. It's crazy, right? Tindall's mother, Sheena Sandifer, told WRTV that her daughter had a bond before she went on to admit that she became worried about the way Scott was treating the much younger teen. They had moved from Indianapolis to Arlington in an attempt to distance themselves from violence. And in Indianapolis, there is a lot of violence. However, Tindall didn't see anything wrong with her relationship with the suspected killer. Why not? She's 7, and so I got to say this, and some people here ain't going to agree with me. Look, man, if you're a parent and you allow your 17-year-old daughter to hang around 59-year-old men in her spare time, free time, then I'm sorry. You are just as much to blame for this murder as the fucking killer. It's just the truth. And I'm just going to be honest. Any of you parents that let your daughters go out and go to the club, date, go do all this shit, you are just as much to blame. You ain't all going to agree with me on that. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I've always told people Then if I had a daughter with me, you are not even allowed to date until you get out of my... When you're old enough to pay your own bills, you're old enough to fuck. Until then, the answer is no. And I know many of you are going to be like, just because someone's dating doesn't mean they're fucking. Yes, it does. Particularly at 17. It's called delinquency of a minor, which is illegal. Absolutely. I'm sorry. If you will let your 17-year-old daughter hang out with dudes and run around the fucking neighborhood looking like that, you're partially to blame. Tindall worked for his landscaping company. Man. It's just insane. It's insane.
We have been working tirelessly on this case since its inception.
She was going to go to college. She was accepted. And now she'll never have a chance.
This is not the outcome we had all hoped.
Look. Napdos right there is a childhood friend of mine. Napdos in the chat room. I know he's a good guy. But if I had a 17-year-old daughter and she's like, I'm going to hang out with Napdos, I'd be like, no, the fuck you're not. Not even close. Not even close. And if Napdos was the type of person that was like, no, I want to hang out with her, man. What's your problem? Then we're no longer friends. You're a grown-ass man. We're the same goddamn age. You ain't got no reason to want to hang out with a damn 17-year-old. Girl at that. I wouldn't, even if a dude was my best friend, I wouldn't be okay with it. Exactly. Your daughter's like, I'm going to hang out with JB. No, hell no, you're not. Because you know, nothing good can come out of that type of shit. There's nothing really been, and we're talking about friends, lifelong friends. We're not talking about strangers down the block. Strangers down the block of 100% the answer is no. 17 is a dangerous age.
Justice will be sought for Valerie.
And we start first at 4 with a tragic breaking news update. After 6 months of searching, investigators in Rush County say the search for 17-year-old Valerie Tindall is over following the discovery of a body. Thanks for joining us. I'm Aaliyah Blackburn.
And I'm Nick McGill. Now, we first told you about a renewed search for Valerie yesterday and broke the news of an arrest of her boss who lives nearby late last night. The sheriff's office confirmed it all this afternoon. Now, Fox 39's Russ McQuaid was the only reporter to join the federal search in Arlington yesterday. He joins us live now with new details. Russ.
And good afternoon, Nick. It was just 2 hours ago at the sheriff of
Yo, Napdos. Ain't it crazy they got the same motherfuckers on Fox 59 that they had when we were children? Russ McQuaid, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? When you and I were kids, it had the same motherfuckers on there. The same motherfucker. I bet you anything the Indianapolis Star still has Bob Kravitz writing. You know what I mean?
Rush County, that would be Alan Rice, briefed us. I pressed him for answers on the investigation into Valerie Tindall's disappearance. You know, she was just 17 years old last summer. She would often go to work doing landscaping with her neighbor and her boss, 58-year-old.
Yeah, I don't care what states have what laws. If you as a grown man would even hang out with or date or anything a 16, 17-year-old child, I don't give a fuck if it's illegal or not. You should be executed by the state. There's something wrong with you.
Patrick Scott. And then it was determined that she disappeared when she was in his company at a Shelbyville apartment complex when he offered to take her to lunch. Got together the day she disappeared. This is a photograph of Valerie Tindall and Patrick Scott, who was 40 years her senior. Tuesday after Valerie's mom told investigators that a woman in Shelbyville told her she had seen Valerie and Scott together the day she disappeared, FBI agents, state troopers,
Later
and
on,
Rush County
Abdos.
Sheriff's deputies were out at Scott's house, which sits about 100 yards away from where Valerie and her parents live. A source told me that late Tuesday afternoon, investigators recovered human remains from inside a barrel buried under a pile of rubble from a garage Scott tore down a month after the girl disappeared. And Scott was arrested and charged with murder after he watched investigators search his property, specifically the rubble pile out back where the body was discovered.
Process of it, he was interviewed, and then they were not on site.
And
Here's what I don't understand, man. He's got to be like a drunk or a drug addict or something. Like, imagine living in a neighborhood, you know you just killed a motherfucker. Threw him under some rubble. And in your city, there's this missing persons report for this person. 5817, what could possibly go wrong? Exactly. And you're just sitting there like, she's just out in the rubble. Like, switch your mind over to the criminals for just a second and ask yourself, you know how dumb you would have to be while the whole neighborhood is searching for the body, searching for this person, and you yourself, you're just sitting there with the fucking, the person under some rubble just right outside your house? Like, it's not even in your house, like in the basement or something. It's just outside where any motherfucker can walk by and search under the rubble. The whole goddamn city is looking. Like, I don't understand.
coming up at 5 o'clock, Valerie's mother will tell me about the warnings she tried to give her daughter about this man living next door, 40 years her senior, who seemed to the family just a little too fixated on that girl.
Well, no shit.
In Rushville, Russ McQuaid, Fox 59 News.
Russ, thank you. Now, Russ,
all right, so if you as the family say he seemed too fixated on her, why the fuck did you keep allowing her to go over there? Dummies?
mentioned that he'd spoken to Valerie's mom about this search and her concerns for her daughter.
And he also talked with her about what kind of girl Valerie was. She described her daughter as always helpful and sweet.
She's a really good person, a sweet kid. She worked hard to get her grades up. She was going to go to college. She was accepted. And now she'll never have the chance.
And you can find more from our interview with Valerie's mother inside Russ.
It's just crazy, man. There is no real lesson there other than you got to be a goddamn idiot to let your children hang out with adults. Yeah, you got to remember, Kurt and Melanie, I've lived out there. All them other areas are nice with the exception of Indianapolis and Gary. Maybe East Chicago, shit like that. I don't think Shelbyville is that bad. The entire point here, though, is I think as an adult, you let your children go hang out and play with adults, you know. Exactly, KD. Oh, she's crying now, but she wasn't when she allowed her child to go to a grown man's house. Yeah. I feel, exactly, why didn't the father go over there and tell him to leave him alone? Exactly. I feel like the parents should be charged with neglect of a dependent, ultimately resulting in the homicide. Took love thy neighbor way too far. Exactly. I think personally that I'm sorry. I think the parents should be charged as well. I do. And I get it. Not everybody's going to agree with me. But I look, man, you as a parent, it's your job to keep your children safe. And 17, they're still a kid. You need to choose and pick who they hang out with and who they don't. And if you choose not to, if you're like, kids are going to be kids, well then, hey, you were also to blame for this. That's the way I see it.